It is another episode of the Talkin Texans podcast, fresh off of the heels of a 28-3 loss at the hands of the Miami Dolphins in preseason game number 2. I am Paul Gallant, host of the Paul Gallant Show, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. He is DJ Bien-Aime, who is the beat reporter for the Houston Texans for ESPN. DJ, yikes. This was a rough game for the Houston Texans. A couple of bright flashes from CJ Stroud, but man, it's as if the defense picked up right where it left off last season.
Yeah, that wasn't good defensively for sure. I mean, they allowed almost 400 yards of offense. The rushing attack, I mean, they allowed. I thought it was a flashback to last year with the run defense that allowed what it allowed. You know, I mean, Savon Ockman from the Miami Dolphins in 26 had that 65-yard run down at the end of the second half. That was rough across the board, but I mean, I try not to overlook into preseason because last week was really good, but again, it's preseason. So like this week was really bad, but again, it's preseason. So I try to keep that perspective that it's just preseason, that you just want to see some good that you can build on, which we saw defensively on that first play of the game when there's a interception, and then we saw when Anderson had a TFL, and we saw when he had a sack. Obviously, we just need them to put everything together, but I'm not going to read too much into them struggling defensively because the starters, for the most part, only got 2 to 3 series, and then it was a bunch of backups. And we know the Texans don't have depth. It is what it is. That's why they got to stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy, the backups only at corner and maybe safety can hold up, but everywhere else, they're very thin. And that's why they got to stay healthy this year.
I think your perspective is the correct one. You don't want to blow this up too much. What I'm most curious is about how D'Amico Ryans is going to handle this as a coach. Obviously, you saw him at the press conference afterwards. I'm really curious as to, after a game like this, where it is the preseason, all those things that you laid out, I wonder what it's going to be for him in that spot, because this is his first, I guess, moment where the team played poorly, and it's up to him to get them to learn from this.
Yeah. I mean, the team did not play well enough. I mean, on both ends, from an execution standpoint, but I think offensively with the starting unit, there was progress.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than last week. Last week was obviously, it was ground zero, and you didn't really have much to go. Going up was pretty easy, and you saw a much cleaner operation from the pocket with CJ Stroud. You saw more decisiveness, the ball getting out quicker because his time to throw was 2.3, which was way faster than last week. Last week was 2.9. And again, how many plays did we see CJ running for his life or running around, things like that? We didn't really see that often. So that speaks to the impact that a guy like Larry Tunsil and Shaq Mason brings to the offensive line. And again, when he was comfortable, had time to throw, you saw a lot of the arm talent that you want to see. You saw the one throw when he was rolling right and throw it to Noah Brown for a 14-yard gain. You saw on that third, and I want to say 7, where he threw that outbreaking pass to Robert Woods for a first down, 11-yard gain. Those are things that you want to see. I mean, hell, there's one play with to Dalton Schultz, which allowed them to get to that 3rd and 7.
Pump fake, right?
No, not
play.
Maybe it might have been a pump fake, but it was when you had an unblocked defender coming at CJ Stroud, and he could feel that, and instead of trying to shake him out and try to make something happen, he got the ball down to Dalton Schultz for to make it manageable, because on the play previous to that, remember, there was a big TFL tackle for loss by David Long on Damian Pierce that put them in that situation where it was 2nd and 15, and they were able to get it to 3rd and 7, and boom. Now, Tia converts, and they keep that drive going. It didn't result in a touchdown, but it resulted in 3 points.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
So, I think from where he started, which coming off of the Denzel Perryman interception, where you're super excited about it. I thought Perryman had a pretty good game when he was in there. And as you mentioned with the depth, there are some real depth issues. But it was a matter of first, you have 3rd and goal at about the 2 or the 1. There's a delay of game. that's generally going to fall on the quarterback every single time. He's a rookie. He's going to learn from that. They ran a weird play afterwards on 3rd and 6, like a play action fake. I didn't understand that play call, but whatever. It's the preseason.
Right.
He threw the ball. It seemed like he was more trying to just put it out and not get sacked than he was 100% trying to get like the guy like right on target. And then afterwards, there was some miscommunication on 4th down with Dalton Schultz. So that sequence, piggybacking off of the first preseason game, I think a lot of people were probably like, "Oh God, well this isn't good." But all the things that you just listed there, I really thought Stroud made some real strides in this game, and I know that maybe some of us want to have like these super amazing highlight plays. Well, I actually thought we got a couple. And you mentioned one, the deep out that he threw to Robert Woods. That's a tough throw.
Yeah.
The throw that he had rolling to his right, hitting Noah Brown on the sideline, who caught it, put 2 feet down in bounds. That was impressive. There was that pump fake throw that he had to Dalton Schultz where he froze the defender for a second, was able to get the ball out. And the best play, it's unfortunate that the ball went right through Noah Brown's hands. He should have caught it, was he has a blitzer bearing down on him, and he pulls essentially the old rope-a-dope, just spun away from him. And then while rolling to his left, that was a beautiful throw that he made to Noah Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I wish you would, Noah would have came down with that, but obviously, Noah knows that he got to come down with that. And those plays, that's what you want to see in preseason, right? Checkbox. Can you play on schedule, keep the offense efficient, keep the offense on schedule? Obviously, we saw that with time to throw, which was 2.36, right? Last week was 2.9. Can you make those on the run? We saw 2 of those to Noah Brown. Can you have enough juice and velocity while making it look effortless to throw the ball outside the numbers? We saw that on the pass to Robert Woods. Can you make throws when you have somebody bearing down on you unblocked? We saw that with CJ Stroud to Dalton Schultz. We had the full sample size of everything that we need to see, right? We saw the creativity. You mentioned the Noah Brown play. We saw the on the run, the Noah Brown throw for 14 yards. We saw the Robert Woods play where that's a hard throw, but he made it look easy. When I rewatched it, like it looked easy. It jumped off his hand. So you saw everything you needed to see as to why CJ is basically the de facto starter, even though Nico doesn't want to name him a starter yet, and why this was massive improvement and why this was massive growth and why Texans fans should be pleased with what they've seen today.
Yeah, I think you should be focusing on that more than the rest because I think you're very right. Like as the game wore on, the defense did get worse. And if you look at the game in totality, yeah, it's very easy to say, "Oh my God, like this is going to be a long year." But I think that focusing on Stroud's development from game 1 to game 2 is definitely the most important thing that came out of it. The unfortunate thing is it just seemed to be a rough day. In particular, I thought DJ for guys in the secondary. There were a couple of missed tackles. We know that was an issue for Jalen Petrie last year. Jimmy Ward had a missed one on a 3rd down. That long 99-yard drive for the Dolphins looked like they were just crapping all over themselves to open up the game because you, of course, had the interception. And then all of a sudden, Tua's bobbling the snap, and it's almost the safety.
Right.
But there were a bunch of missed tackles on that drive. I also thought Desmond King had a couple of rough moments on that one. And then a little bit later, too, whether it's Shaquille Griffin getting yelled at by Frank Ross for not getting in on, I guess, a kickoff team, and also another play where just he looked a little bit slow on a touchdown pass. I thought that we've definitely seen a lot better from the secondary in training camp, and this was not their best performance, that's for sure.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, I'm trying to think. But the starters, I felt like the starters like Jimmy, Petrie, Sting, Steven Nelson, Desmond King, I felt like they were still solid and productive, mainly because yes, the Dolphins were able to move and drive the ball on that second drive where they went 98 yards after they were basically on the 2-yard line. But in all honesty, there were some really good throws by Tua, right? There was one where he hit Braxton Berrios where he was able to get it over a defender. There was one on that 3rd and 8 where he was able to get it to Durham Smythe to convert a 1st down. Obviously, Desmond King versus Tyreek Hill, that's a mismatch. It is what it is. Yeah. You saw Desmond King basically run out of his he turned his hips, was ready to run deep, and obviously Tua hit Tyreek Hill on the out route. And obviously Tyreek Hill is just hard to guard, especially in the slot. There's not a single nickel defender that can guard Tyreek Hill, much less any boundary receiver, a corner that
I
can
know.
guard Tyreek Hill. So it's like
I kind of get it with
that.
Desmond King on that one too. Yeah, if all of a
Yeah,
sudden Desmond King, you got Tyreek Hill on you, and it looks like he's running straight. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around too.
exactly. And that's a normal reaction, and that's a normal result. Cover one, all right. Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill on out route. He's able to create mass separation. It is what it is. So while yes, obviously you don't want to see that, but the other side of the ball gets paid to make plays. I think what was more concerning was that the Dolphins were able to move the ball through the ground with as much efficiency
yeah,
as they did, right? Because the Dolphins last year they had like a top tier passing offense by all the metrics. Even when they slowed down in December, they still had a prolific passing attack. So they're going to get theirs at times.
right.
But the run game, they were porous in that aspect last year, and to see them be able to move the ball through the ground against the first team defense the way they did is something that I have to keep a mental note of and say, all right, can they fix this when they get to week one against Lamar Jackson, who, while he won't be running a Greg Roman style offense where it's a lot of quarterback read option, things like that, and I want to get into all the terminology of what they do under Greg Roman, not under a new offensive coordinator. They probably throw the ball a little bit more, but the running attack is still going to be a part of the Baltimore Ravens. As long as John Harbaugh is the head coach, they're going to run the ball. So my thing is now, can they fix that? And then when they get to week one, be able to at least contain the Baltimore running attack.
Yeah, and I think as the game wore on, and specifically, that touchdown drive, there were definitely some moments on the ground where he didn't feel good. I felt like when they started to go up against not Christian Harris and Denzel Perryman, I thought that it was a little bit easier for Miami on the ground. But you're right. Like there were a couple of moments on that drive where you're like, okay, what's going on here? Because honestly, DJ, my big takeaway the first couple of drives, especially with what Perriman was doing, it was like, man, they just have a lot more talent at linebacker right now, simply by Perriman's presence and by Harris. But of course, yeah, as guys started checking out, it did start to get a little bit concerning. We got to talk about the other young rookie Houston Texan who had a wow moment of his own. Can we talk about Will Henderson and that sack that he had? Oh my God, that was mean.
Yeah. Now, Will Henderson. Yeah, no, good luck. If you want to block him with a running back, the Texans will love that. They will
Yes.
love those opportunities. You're gonna block with a running back. Yeah. Now, Will was disruptive again. Obviously, you had the TFL that put the Dolphins into second and 15, even though that feels a little distorted and whatnot, but good on Will to finish it. Good on Will to get that sack. Granted, they weren't able to take full advantage of that because the Dolphins were able to convert both times. Will was able to set the offense behind the chains. But again, preseason is about seeing flashes. Preseason is about seeing things that can transfer over to the regular season. Will being able to create TFLs, force fumbles, that's transferable. CJ Stroud being able to play on schedule, throw outbreaking routes, be able to find his hot receiver in Dalton Schultz and be able to throw the run, that's transferable. So the things that we saw, for this with Denzel Perryman being able to get your interception, Will Anderson being able to get TFL in the sack, these are things you want to see because again, preseason you can only take so much, right? Once the starters get out, it's basically like there's no I won't say there's no point of paying attention, but what you're seeing once the starters get out is not what you're gonna see when the season gets here. So when the starters are out there and you see Will making those plays, that can only get you excited.
Right. And I also think another guy you've been very big on this offseason, and you just take a look at the guys that they're going to have on their starting defense and the specific pass rushers that they're going to have out there. Jacob Martin was the one who set up that interception by Denzel Perryman. He had really good pressure on Tua. Tua was trying to get away and he couldn't step into the throw. So maybe if he puts a little bit more mustard on that, that gets over Perryman. That's a throw down the seam to the tight end. Instead, Martin creates that. And I thought Martin had a couple of rougher moments later where I felt like he got caught cheating a little bit. Like he was trying to
Mm-hmm.
make the big play. He got pulled inside on a counter. He got pulled inside in
Mm,
another play too. But
mm.
these are the kind of things that you want to see out of Jacob Martin early on. And hopefully he looks at that moment that he had and focuses on that and how he can replicate that against Tua as opposed to the other moments that happened. But I like what they have on the edge compared to last year, and I know
Right.
we're very positive right now after a 28-3 loss, but there were a couple of moments about it. It just sucks that as the game goes on, it's easy to forget a lot of the things that were going on early, and obviously we're a little bit nuanced with what we're looking for in these games
Right.
because we know that how pointless they are.
Yeah, I mean, listen, last year the Eagles in their last preseason game lost 48-10
Mm-hmm.
to the Miami Dolphins, and then the first week they lost to the New York Jets, 24-21. So that just goes to show you, like, you can't take that much of the final score within a preseason game because, again, there's so much that we're trying to see what transfers to the regular season, and we can only analyze that based off of the very small sample size we get whenever the ones are out there. I mean, hell,
Right.
even the Kansas City Chiefs last year, they scored 14 points, 24 points, and 17 points in preseason. They end up winning the championship, they end up winning the Super Bowl, having the best offense in the league. So you know what I mean? Like, I
It
try
is
not
a little
to.
different because obviously we're talking about this team, but
Right,
I
yeah,
get what you're
but
saying.
yeah, like I can't like. There's only so much you can truly take from
Correct.
the final score of a preseason game, no matter who it is. You know, that's why I'm not like harping on the fact that they lost 28-3. Like, I'm more looking at what it looked like when it was ones versus ones
Mm-hmm.
in the preseason, and the defense won that first drive where they were able to force interception. They lost the second drive, and the third drive, I would say they probably lost that too because no, I'm tripping because they forced the punt. The fourth drive, and at that point, that's when it started getting all a lot of rotation, a lot of moving pieces. So yeah, like you know, I was pleased with what I saw from CJ, pleased with what I saw from Will, pleased with what I saw from Desmond Perryman. Are there things they got to improve on? Absolutely. Pleased with what I saw from the O line. Pleased with what I saw from Dalton
Offensive line took a
Schultz.
step
Yeah,
forward. A good call.
absolutely.
That was
Yeah.
honestly like when you don't notice the offensive line, it's generally good.
Yeah, like they allowed CJ had, I believe, 12 dropbacks. He was pressured on 16% of them. Last week, for context, he's pressured on 60% of it. So again, the fact that this week there was a cleaner pocket for him to operate from. He was a lot more decisive. Obviously, time to throw 2.3. The receivers were helping him out a little bit more. Obviously, there's some plays that they would want back, but again, he had his full arsenal. Right, Laramie Tunsil left tackle, Shaq Mason at right guard, Noah Brown at receiver, Robert Woods at receiver, Damian Pierce in the backfield. He had more of an arsenal, and that's why you saw a better performance. 7 for 12 for 60 yards, led the team to a field goal, and that was there. Obviously, you would hope that they could punch it in on that first drive because they got on 2-yard line, 7-yard line, but it happens. There's miscommunication on that fourth down play, and again, that third down play, some blame has to fall on Bobby Slowick, as you mentioned earlier. They called the play action
That was weird.
out of I think out of 22 personnel. I could double check.
It's like something that you would see in like a peewee or a high school football game where a team ran a play that they had called already the snap before and they forgot to change it.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at it right
weird.
now.
That is the one, like, of all the coaching stuff that happened in the game. And I mean, interesting to note, Matt Burke was the one calling plays defensively, but really the one thing I'm focusing on is like, I don't know what the hell that was. that play call annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, man. They were in 22 personnel.
Yeah.
They had two backs.
6 turns to go.
No, I lied. They weren't in 22. They were in 21 because they had one tight end.
Still,
they had one tight end. Yeah, and the tight end wasn't even Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, I know, right?
It wasn't even Dalton Schultz. And then they ran a play action to the fullback. I don't know.
To a fullback. Oh no.
Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, it was to the fullback. On third,
they never would have seen it coming. That's why they did it.
Yeah, no, that was rough.
Jesus.
That one didn't make too much sense. But Bobby is also a rookie offensive coordinator.
Yes.
So like, I'm gonna expect brain fart moments like that where you call a play that probably ain't gonna work. Because again, like play action to the fullback. Granted, clearly everybody else was covered, but again, like it was pretty quick. It was 1, 2, 3. He dumped it down to the fullback. He was a little bit under a little bit of pressure, but yeah. Like, I ain't gonna over dissect it. It is what it is.
It's just one play, but it was an
It is
annoying
one
play.
play, yeah. But
One last
that was
question
weird.
for you, DJ, because I know you got stuff to do.
Yeah.
The wide receivers were not good as a whole. I thought there were some good moments from Nico Collins early. I thought that Noah Brown had a nice catch. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And is this a reflection of what to expect this year? Because I think we've both been of the mindset they're limited in what they can really do. This was seemingly a very big time reality check for them.
Yeah, I mean, like we've always known that the receiver room has questions and they have to answer those based off of just the productions with 2022. They were ranked 28th or worse in a lot of categories, from receptions to receiving yards to touchdowns. They just ranked really low across the board. So that was always going to be a question. I seen someone say, "Oh, maybe they missed Tank," but I'm like, I don't know if we can say they missed Tank yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we're at that point where Tank is that much of an impact player yet to say that. Obviously, we got to wait till the regular season. So this week was what it was. There was some good. There was also some wish they would have those plays back. And as the season progressed, we'll see what this group turns into. And then once the offseason gets here, we'll see if they need to how aggressive they need to be into adding to the core. Because with young quarterbacks, the thing that makes them pop is their receiving core, right? Because early on, most rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, they can't read defenses consistently. So what they need is receivers and the pass catchers, with tight ends, receivers that can get open quickly and make their life just a lot more easier. Where they're not even having to read, they're just having to get the ball to their guy because their guy is just that good. We saw that game start with Burrow, Herbert. We saw that with Tua and Hurts. Once they got those guys, how much better those two guys got. We saw that with I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Josh Allen, once he got Stephon Diggs, we saw that jump. So we'll see what the receiving core looks like as the year progresses, and hopefully they get better. So the Texans don't have to be as aggressive to get a receiver into that room.
Yeah. And hopefully the Browns have the worst record in the NFL, so then they can maybe get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right. Well, if they have the worst record in the NFL, I'll say this: if they have the worst record in the NFL and they have number one pick, they can get a lot. They can get a lot for that pick.
They probably could. Two quarterbacks.
A lot.
Yeah. Drake May and Caleb Williams. He is DJ Bien-Aime, the Houston Texans beat reporter for ESPN, hard at work back at NRG Stadium. I am Paul Gallant. Check me out weekdays 10 to noon, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. So long. Farewell. One last preseason game before we get some real football. Have a good night, everybody.